So most of the morning I've been laying on my back and looking at parts like extra close, cleaning stuff down with some degreaser and just wiping stuff like this. This is the sway bar disconnect module, and just going over stuff, just wiping it off. And I have a lot of friends of mine and just people on YouTube in general. They're like, man, you do so much extra non-necessary stuff when you work on things, like all your painting and your wiping down and shit like that. And they just don't get it, and I really don't expect them to get it. Maybe I'm just kind of special. You know, I do think short buses are pretty cool. But let me give you my explanatory reason why I do it. For one, it's kind of like, I knew of a blind mechanic one time, and he was probably, and I think he's actually got a YouTube channel now. And I was always curious, like, how does a blind guy become one of the best mechanics in the city? And his reply to one of my comments on YouTube was, because you can see more with your hands than you can your eyes. And I was like, oh, that's much horseshit. And I got to thinking about how I've always worked on stuff and how I've always liked doing what I'm doing now, just like getting underneath here and cleaning stuff. And I started to understand that what he was telling me was the truth. Because when you get on here and doing stuff that looks just kind of ridiculous, like cleaning parts and crawling up underneath of it, you actually do get extremely familiar about your vehicle and how things work. Like, before I cleaned this off, I didn't know there was a part number here that I could look up. You know, I didn't necessarily understand how the sway bar disconnect was working until I got underneath of it and I seen this, and it kind of made sense. You just get, I almost ate that power steering fluid or the transmission fluid, but you just get a different view of things. Like when I'm cleaning this cross member, you know, before I didn't know there was a metal line on the other side of this cross member. Well, now that I was wiping on it, okay, cool. I located that line and I can figure out what it does, you know. That was my ladder getting blown over by the wind. But yeah, you just get a better understanding of what's going on, and you can kind of understand your vehicle a little bit. And I think it's kind of fun taking something ugly, like this diff, you know, this whole front axle. Sooner or later, it's all going to look nice again, because I'm going to get underneath here and I'm going to scrape it down and take all the rust slag off of it. And while I'm cleaning it, I can inspect it. I can find where my bad welds might be and where I need to fix things. I can make notes, and I can find parts that I would normally never, ever, ever see. I'll be able to see if they're bad or if I need to replace them. And a lot of times it could come into safety issues. You could find a part that might be rotted in half and that it's really important. You need to replace it. And before, I wouldn't have known I had a brand new starter. Now I know I've got a brand new starter. So it's just stuff like that that you learn so much from. And a lot of people ask me how I learned so much about working on cars. It's because of this is the exact thing. I just jump in here and I'll sit sometimes and just look and see what's going on. And you learn so much by getting your hands on things and feeling them. And that guy was really right. And it just works for me, you know. And I know there's a lot of people scared when it comes to working on their vehicles. And if you follow a few simple things, there's no need to be scared. One, if you jack your vehicle up, always have jack stands. Have a good quality jack that meets your vehicle's weight rating. Say if you've got a 3-ton vehicle, don't be jacking it up with a 2-ton jack. You know, I'll always go straight for 5-ton jacks, because you can basically tackle just about anything you want. But then again, you also have to be careful. You can overjack stuff. You know, if you jack something up with a 5-ton jack and your car's only 1,500 pounds or whatever, you can bend stuff, because that jack can do a whole lot of work. And but you should never be scared to work on your own stuff. And what's the worst case that can happen? You break it, and you break it worse than it was. Okay, big deal. I mean, either you break it till you learn how to fix it, or you take it to somebody that can. I mean, it's not the end of the world. You're not going to die. And that's basically how I've worked on stuff. And taking something that used to look ugly, you know, front of the truck, the front of the frame here, used to look ugly. Now it's fairly representable. And if you're going to work on something, you might as well fix everything you can while you're there. Like, you take a bumper off and you find a bunch of rusty, shitty bolts. Replace the bolts with a good quality grade 8 stuff. New washers, new nuts. And when you're finished, just squirt them with a little bit of WD-40 or a little bit of say, like PB Blaster or something. That way, next time you go work on it, it's easy to take off. Or if later you get rid of the vehicle, whoever has to work on it after you isn't struggling. That's just how my dad taught me that. My dad was in the military for a long time. He was always really big about keeping his equipment like squared away, super clean. And maybe that's where I got it. But you know, if I find a part that looks bad, I'll replace it. It might be great, but I'm still going to replace it. Like this intermediate shaft right here. At first look, when I first started messing with it, it looked horrible. And upon further inspection, it was just had rust and a bunch of junk on it. And I cleaned it off. I think it's going to be okay. I'm still going to take that boot. If you follow that intermediate shaft all the way to the firewheel, take that boot off, and then there's where it connects to the steering column itself. I want to inspect that pin, and if that pin's good, I'll just keep it and save myself $300, you know. And that's just how I learn, guys. That's just how I've always learned how to fix stuff. And the next thing I'll be going through, once I get the steering taken care of, is I'll be taking off the front wheel here. I know the ball joints are going bad. They're not 100% bad yet, but they do have some play. I'm going to look at the rotors, look at the calipers, look at the brake lines. I know the shocks are shot. Look at the bump stops, the spring bushings, all that stuff while I'm there. And if I need to fix it, I will. Or I'll take it uptown and let them do it if it's beyond my skill level. And yeah, that's about all I got to say. You know, people always ask this question, so I figured I'd go ahead and, you know, give you guys some feedback. So anyways, I hope you guys have a good day. I'll have more videos on the Power Wagon, and I've got some other stuff I gotta get done this week. So let's shoot for Friday. I'll see if I can't put another video up Friday. So I'll see you guys later.